every guy should start in jail and have to work his way out.
Absolutely.
I think
love that idea.
Because it's like you need to earn your place out here.
You do.
In my opinion.
It tells me I'm about to get fired, so I'm going to record this because I have no idea.
After reviewing a video you posted online, upper management has made the decision to terminate your employment.
All right, guys, this video kicks off with a shocking and controversial mindset being discussed right from the start. Someone boldly claims that every man should begin life in a controlled system and have to earn their way out, suggesting a harsh test of value and survival. The conversation immediately turns intense as ideas of control, discipline, and social structure are thrown around without hesitation. One speaker even suggests recording everything because they are unsure how the situation will unfold. But guys, what follows is even more serious. This quickly transitions into a real employment situation where consequences are about to hit hard. The tone shifts from philosophical aggression to real-world accountability. This is where we see how online behavior, personal opinions, and public expression collide with professional consequences in a very real and immediate way.
He activated me 2 days after I reported my sexual assault. 2 days ago on October 12th, 2025, I was a victim of SA by a DoorDash customer while I was doing my job as a DoorDash driver, and I got it on video. The customer who committed a crime against me. Hey guys, I just lost my job and they won't tell me why. They're supposed to send an email immediately after deactivation providing you the reason why and a link to appeal, and they didn't. So I contacted support and they made me sit on the phone with them for 50 minutes just to tell me that they can't tell me the reason why and I have to just go ahead and appeal without knowing why. So my chances of getting my account back, they have my money in that account. I was working. I was literally working and they deactivated me. This is related. They just punished me for posting about my sexual assault while door dashing. They just fired me, and the police are doing nothing. I lost my job, and that was my only way to make money to pay my bills.
Hey guys, so yep, I really lost my job. Within less than 24 hours after me submitting my appeal, they denied it. And in the email, they said, you can respond to the previous email that you received explaining the reason why you were deactivated. I never got the email. So last night, I contacted one support agent. We sat on the phone for 25 minutes, and then she transferred me to the community response team. The person on the community response team told me that was the highest team I could get to. There's literally nobody else she could transfer me to. I could hang up the phone and call back and then get transferred to the community response team again. So I sat on the phone with her for another 30 minutes. And she told me that she couldn't tell me. There's no way that they could tell me.
Now things escalate fast, all right guys, because management has stepped in after reviewing online content. A formal message is delivered stating that upper management has made the decision to terminate employment effective immediately. The reason? Controversial video content posted online that does not align with company values. The message is direct, strict, and final. No negotiation, no warning. The tone is cold and corporate, showing how seriously employers treat public image in today's digital world. At this moment, everything changes instantly for the employee involved. The idea of freedom of expression collides with workplace responsibility. And guys, this is where reality hits hard. What you post online is no longer separate from your professional life. The boundary between personal opinion and employment consequences completely disappears in seconds, leading straight into a series of viral firing moments.
Sir? No, you got fired for scamming your students out of $120,000. I'm going to let her tell you what she said she was doing, and then I'm going to show you the truth with receipts.
I designed a kick-ass course to teach my 600 students about basic self-awareness, empathy, and essential communication skills for life, but I mean, basically being a good human.
Now, let me tell you what she actually did. She designed a college course that required you pay to join her patriarchy rebellion community for the low price of $99 a year. Remember, she has 600 students. Now, since she was teaching at a business school, you might think that the patriarchy rebellion community is about succeeding in business. It's about communicating well in business. Nah, according to her, it's a safe place to coordinate our efforts to burn everything to the fucking ground. This is her saying this. Also, according to her, 100% of the membership fees are donated to Planned Parenthood. But here's something even funnier about that. Her web pages say different things that she was doing with the money. On her GoFundMe, it says she was using the funds to buy herself a Rebellion RV. Her website states that 100% of the membership fees are used for awareness, education, and activism for a bully-free future. And of course, we already saw the Facebook post where she says it's going to Planned Parenthood. And because she had been running this scam since 2022, she's raked in more than $120,000 in membership fees, all for a community that, as she said, is to coordinate our efforts to burn everything to the fucking ground. So no, you didn't get fired for being a woke professor.
All right, guys, now we enter a wave of emotional and chaotic job loss stories spreading online. One woman claims she was deactivated from a delivery platform just 2 days after reporting a sexual assault incident while working. She explains she had evidence, documentation, and even video proof, yet still lost access to her account. The frustration builds as she describes long support calls, transfers between departments, and complete lack of answers. She repeatedly says she was never told the reason for termination, which leaves her in financial and emotional distress. Guys, this is where things get serious. She is suddenly cut off from her only income source without clarity or resolution. The situation highlights how vulnerable gig workers can be when systems fail to provide transparency or protection after traumatic events or workplace.
Final thought from you. Are there words that are used to describe men that offend you?
Not particularly, and if there are some I don't like, I certainly wouldn't want them banned, but it always goes back to that old adage, sticks and stones may break my bones, but there will always be something to offend a feminist.
Peter Lloyd.
No, that's just obnoxious.
Peter Lloyd,
Sorry, you
okay,
have to give me a
I
chance
think we'll
to
let you
respond.
carry on this
That is
discussion.
ridiculous. No, hang on, I won't do your...
I get my ice cream. It's another guy in the store. He ordered his ice cream after me. Why did I get his sprinkles on his? I didn't give you sprinkles on mine. And he looked a little like rough around the edges. He looked a little hood. I was looking like, interesting. Fruit Loop.
Look at that. Wasn't that just something? And I have been noticing the content of this particular nature growing in increasing popularity on social media lately, because there are apparently some women out there that find domestic violence and physical abuse against men from women to be something to be joked about. They find it funny. Because if not everyone got to read what was stated there, let's review. If a man said this, the internet would come unhinged. But as long as it's a woman joking about abusing a man, it's funny. Because here's another example.
Like this.
Someone is going to have to explain to me why some women out there, and some men, find abuse to be funny.
Now, guys, the narrative shifts into controversy and criticism as another case is presented involving a professor accused of misconduct. She claims she was fired for being woke, but critics argue something very different: financial exploitation and misleading students. The video breaks down allegations that she charged students for access to paid communities and courses while presenting them as educational spaces. According to the criticism, the content of her program included extreme messaging and contradictory claims about where money was being used. Multiple versions of her explanations appear inconsistent, raising serious questions about transparency. All right, guys, this is where public perception splits. Some see unfair dismissal, while others see clear ethical violations. The situation escalates into a broader discussion about trust, influence, and accountability in online education and paid communities.
No. No. Well, no. No.
Even if this video is satire and she threw the sandwich away after making it, I mean, there's no excuse for this, and you definitely should have gotten fired.
Feminist gets fired seconds after posting this on social media.
Every guy should start in jail and have to work his way out.
Absolutely.
I think
love
that's
that idea.
Because it's like you need to earn your place out here.
You do.
In my opinion. You do, and it should be treated as if they're on probation for a while. Like, one strike, you're back.
Yeah,
even when they're out, you're
Recorded the call she got from work during the time.
Something tells me I'm about to get fired, so I'm gonna record this because I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on. I'm waiting on them to join. Hello?
Hey, Brittany. Thanks for joining us on this call. I wish this was under better circumstances. After reviewing a video you posted online, upper management has made the decision to terminate your employment effective immediately. While we understand the video may have been comedic in nature, it does not align with our company's values. In fact, several employees came across the video and expressed concerns.
Job because of the kombucha video. What? Yeah. I had been working there for 3 months, and that's when I got fired.
Nice.
And
what was the reason?
Well, she brought me in, and she was like, "You're doing?
You can't be making videos."
Yeah, basically, she was like, "You need to decide if you want to be a young professional or if you want to be a meme." And I was like, "What the kind of decision is that?"
You should have been like, "You're just jealous. You're ugly. You're mad as hell. You're ugly.
You're mad."
Yeah, you're mad.
Like, I'm your boss. You're fired.
Yeah.
You're mad. L-U-L-U-W-B.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Mad. You're an L and I'm a dub.
Me to my 60-year-old boss named Cheryl.
Yeah.
You're just mad because I'm...
All right, guys. The story intensifies as financial claims and receipts are analyzed. The criticism continues, pointing out contradictions in how funds were reportedly used, from activism claims to personal projects and shifting explanations across platforms. The total amount involved reportedly exceeds $120,000, which adds serious weight to the allegations. The argument being made is clear. This is not just about free speech or opinions, but about financial transparency and responsibility toward paying members. The tone becomes sharper as the narrator directly challenges the justification provided by the accused. Guys, at this point, the discussion is no longer casual. It becomes a breakdown of credibility versus evidence. The focus shifts from ideology to accountability, showing how quickly online influence can turn into public scrutiny when money and trust are involved.
Miles an hour. You can't do that. So get the out of the way.
The since deleted TikTok was created by Federal Way police officer Brianna Strauss, who said it was a public service announcement for other drivers.
PSA to everyone out there. I'm speaking for myself, but I'm probably speaking for a large majority of other officers out there. If we're driving on the freeway in our police car, get the out of the way. Get the out of the way.
In the 38-second clip, Strauss tells the viewers, quote, "I can go 90 miles per hour. You can't." She also says officers will find a way to pull someone over.
If us officers stay behind you long enough, we can find a reason to pull you over. So you might as well get the out of the way. If you merge and we follow behind you and we merge too, you're probably in trouble. The best way to find that out is get the out of the way.
In a statement to local media, the Federal Way Police Department said in part, quote, "We have viewed the social media video posted by Officer Strauss and can assure you that it does not represent the core."
Now, guys, the video transitions into a broader debate about offensive content and double standards online. A discussion emerges around language, feminism, and public reactions to controversial statements. One speaker argues that certain offensive jokes or remarks would trigger massive backlash if made by men, yet receive different reactions depending on who says them. The tone becomes more analytical, but still aggressive as examples are reviewed. Alright guys, this is where social tension becomes clear. Perception changes based on identity, context, and audience reaction. The conversation highlights how social media amplifies certain voices while suppressing or criticizing others differently. It also raises questions about equality and how speech is judged online. At this stage, the video is no longer just about individuals. It becomes about society's inconsistent reaction to controversial behavior.
You think equality means splitting the bill. Women live in a society where equality has never existed in the first place. Women still only make 80% of what a man makes for the same full-time job.
There is something deeply poetic about a billionaire Nepo baby using her platform to convince her audience of mostly working-class women that working-class men who make a median wage of $70,000 a year in the United States should foot the entire bill of the relationship. There are 4 reasons why Becca Bloom is wrong, and the first is that Becca doesn't care about equity or equality. The only Becca cares about is entitlement. Anyone with an understanding of the gender wage gap in the United States also knows that there's a racial wage gap in the United States that is even larger. The reason why people like Becca Bloom never bring up the topic of race, let alone intersectionality in this conversation, is because they know that if an Asian woman or a white woman sat down for a date with a black man or went through a relationship with a black man, that would obligate them to pay and foot the bill for the relationship, going down this same line of reasoning. Reason number 2 is that the math simply doesn't math. Let me grant to Becca for a second that for every dollar a man makes in the United States, a woman makes 80 cents. This would not justify a 100-0 split skewed towards the man. This would justify a split that is rated to the inequality that's caused by this gender split, meaning that under the definition of equity, for every dollar of the bill that the man foots, the woman would foot 80 cents. Now, reason number 3 has to do with statistics. The reason why it's reason number 3 and not number 1, even though it's the most important reason to consider, is because statistical literacy is dying. Most people who have this conversation on the gender wage gap, Becca Bloom included, have no idea what the difference between correlation and causation is. And this is despite the fact that if you take an introductory level statistics class in high school or in college, the first thing you'll learn is this core distinction. So I'll start us off with a really easy example. When Trump entered his first term, the economy boomed. Now, just because those two things happen to happen at the same time doesn't mean that Trump entering office is why the economy boomed. Now, using that same line of reasoning, just because for every dollar a man makes, a woman makes 80 cents, doesn't mean that gender specifically is the reason why that 20-cent schism exists. Which is why when you control for external variables like occupation, years of experience, years of education, you see this gap drastically reduce. In one study, it was from 17 cents to just 1. As a quick aside, this logic of raw, uncontrolled disparities being an example of discrimination is only ever used with respect to the gender wage gap. But when you talk about the fact that home ownership is now higher among young women than young men, or the fact that women are now outpacing men in education from bachelor's degrees to JDs to MDs, all of a sudden, that's no longer discrimination. That's just individual people. I mentioned it in a previous video and I'll mention it again. The cognitive dissonance is palpable. And even then, gender is not necessarily the reason why this 1 cent difference exists. It could be for a myriad of other factors that weren't controlled. Now, a really common counter argument to this is, why do you think women's professions are typically paid less? To which I say, I agree. It's an issue that has to do with patriarchy. But inequality in the sense of a social choice model is significantly different from inequality in the sense of systemic discrimination. At the end of the day, people are responsible for their own decisions, which is why if you go into a profession like teaching, which pays less, you're doing so knowing that it pays you less. In the same vein that a man going into a profession like construction knows that this is a more dangerous job and therefore there's a higher risk to their life in doing so. Which is why, despite the fact that men go into more dangerous professions more often, you don't hear myself or other men scream from the rooftops that this is some magical reason for us to be compensated more in relationships. Which brings me to point number 4. Becca's entire argument relies on this false premise that individual people in relationships are responsible for remediating issues that exist at systemic and societal levels. A relationship is not a personal affirmative action plan. It's a partnership. And individual people's struggles are not always defined by generalities that exist in society. And frankly, just putting these 4 arguments aside for a second, I want you to take Becca Bloom's worldview to its endpoint. A world where only the men who are capable of sustaining a family on a single income is not a world that can exist any longer, right? The dollar doesn't go as far as it used to 50 years ago, 20 years ago. It's simply not possible anymore. The reason why people like Becca Bloom, Share 7, The Wizard List, the reason why they push this provider mentality, masculine energy, red pill content, that's what it is, red pill content, onto young women, is because they know that their idea is a systemic impossibility. They fundamentally profit off of having a base of women who are dissatisfied with the relationships that they have, which is why they constantly shift the goalposts of what it means for a man to be the bare minimum. And it's even more sinister when it comes to people like Becca Bloom, who are literal oligarchs, because they directly benefit from the idea of having fragmented family units who are unable to have productive lives for themselves and retain capital for their own prosperity.
This man made some great points, including the fact that this woman only really makes videos for other women in order to get, more money and views, because obviously those other women are going to agree with it and not really look at the facts like this man did. And I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Like and subscribe and comment what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.